Welcome to Flick Flops, the podcast where we review critically bad movies so you don't have to.
From box office bombs to straight to streaming duds, we take a deep dive into the films that missed the mark.
Each episode, we'll break down a different movie and give you our honest thoughts on what worked, what didn't, and everything in between.
Whether you're a die-hard movie buff or just looking for a good laugh, we've got you covered.
So grab some popcorn and get ready to join us on a journey through the world of critically bad cinema. This is Flick Flops.
I have to admit, our little intro tune always makes me want to kind of dance. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Flick Flops. This week, we're going to take on the movie Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. It's a 2023 British independent slasher film written, directed, and produced by Rhys Frake Waterfield. The film serves as a horror retelling of A.A. Milne and E.H. Shepard's Winnie the Pooh books and stars Craig David Dowsett as Winnie the Pooh and Craig Cordell as Piglet. It follows Pooh and Piglet, who have now become feral and bloodthirsty murderers as they terrorize a group of young university women and an adult Christopher Robin when he returns to 100 Acre Wood many years later after leaving for college.
Andy. This goes south. So quickly, we all know Winnie the Pooh, created by A.A. Milne. Originally published, I believe, back in 1926, with the characters we grew up with was Winnie the Pooh, Piglet, which are featured here in these pictures, Eeyore, Kanga, Roo, Tigger, Owl, and Rabbit, and of course the human Christopher Robin, who was their friend, and he would come to the woods and visit with them, bring them food, and give them sage advice from a human child. I
don't believe they were hybrids in that story, though, were they?
Well, no, not like in this movie for sure. The quick background on this is this became hang on, I'm trying to turn a page here. Public domain, January 1st, 2022. So it became public domain. It was owned by Disney up until then, from like 1966 until 22. I don't know the exact timelines of when things can go public, but it became public domain. And Rhys Frake Waterfield had a different idea about Winnie the Pooh.
Clearly,
where he got his ideas from is suspect, But anyway, this had a budget of about $100,000. It domestically has made, or not domestic, international wise, I should say, has made roughly $4.2 million. This was shot in 10 days in Ashdown Forest in East Sussex, England, which was, I believe, the original setting for 100 Acre Wood when A.A. Milne was writing the story. So this is a real place.
Right, the inspiration for the 100 Acre Wood. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and like say this, just like the Blair Witch Project, you can go to the real woods where these things happened. Hopefully, you would not run into these two characters.
Yeah,
things would not go good for you. This movie is, I think, universally panned by critics and probably by most people.
You've got the Rotten Tomatoes score, right?
Yeah, so Rotten Tomatoes has it. Critics' score is 4%, which that's harsh, and the audience has it at 50%.
4 is generous.
So clearly, I'm going to say this here. Gary and I have a feeling that we disagree because I'm going to say this. I loved this movie. I truly loved this movie.
Yeah. We are definitely the 50% audience score here in podcast form.
Yeah, I mean it's. I don't know what to say. Again, I'll paraphrase what Gary says. Gary, you can correct me, but this film delivered what I expected. Okay, which I didn't expect much, and this film did that. It
delivered not much.
Right. It did exactly what I expected, and but I enjoyed it. Much like there's a lot of bad movies that I can list that I do enjoy, and when I say bad, I think that are just universally accepted by critics as bad films. Gary and I have a couple films that we are big fans of, like a cult following.
Yeah.
This one for me would be in that area. I would probably watch this again and again. I mean, this falls to me in the realm of like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It is not great, but I enjoyed it. I just truly enjoyed it. And first of all, I
I,
like horror films.
the Mask are just about as good as the ones in Killer Clowns, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, that's
I
that's
mean,
fair.
that's a good pool because the masks are just as, because I remember the masks in that movie
Didn't
being for
they
some
didn't
reason,
articulate?
yeah, but I found that one entertaining. So I don't know, maybe this was just a bad timing for me, but I was
Maybe
not entertained like you were.
you're becoming that grumpy old man that yells, "Get off
Maybe,
my lounge!" Shakes his fist at clouds.
maybe that could
Um,
be. I will say this: I was a little upset when I went to Rotten Tomatoes after we were done watching because my wife watched it with me. When we were done, I was like, my review is going to be, "Why did I oh bother?" Right?
yeah,
Not that that's terribly original.
no.
I went to Rotten Tomatoes, and the very first thing it says is critics consensus, "Oh bother."
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So look. Speaking of critics, I'm going to quote one critic that I found who I think really summed it up well. His name is Chris Joyce, and he's from I believe it's a YouTube channel called Movies and Munchies. He's a critic, and he put, if you're looking for substance, a good plot, decent acting, memorable characters, or heck, even an ending, don't destroy all expectations you have for this, and then watch this for the hilarious train wreck that it is. Um, I'll say that's fair. I know I'm in the minority when I say I truly enjoyed this film. Um, I would be suspect recommending this to anybody. But if someone said, "Did you like it?" I would say, "Absolutely, I liked it." And then I would dive into them, like, what do you expect out of films? Do you like films that have zero plots, not the greatest effects?
You said you're in a minority, but really the audience score is 50. So,
Yeah. Well, I'd
like,
say
you just
with critics, critics do not like
okay, all
this
right.
film.
Well, we're no critics though, so we're just our own. I usually follow the theory of am I entertained? Was I
Right.
entertained throughout the movie? And that's usually my only yardstick. And I have to say, in this one, I was not entertained. I was just insulted. Um,
Yeah,
I
I didn't get
I
that.
found a lot of it insulting to the idea that somebody had said you have to kind of it expects audiences to meet you halfway on the premise of
Yeah.
the film, which is I don't even think we've gotten into the plot really so much yet, but um the premise of the film I can accept and go, "Oh, that's interesting. See what they do with this. That's a good premise for a terrible horror movie, right?" But I just felt insulted instead the whole time. I felt like there was just a lot of decisions by the people in the movie that were dumb, a lot of the nonsensical ways that people were killed in the film. Like,
See, that's what I did enjoy, uh, the nonsensical ways. Maybe yeah, again, Gary. Maybe I should talk to somebody. Maybe there's something deep seated down inside me. I feel like
eh,
who is it from the movie Stripes? John Candy's character, where I swallow a lot of aggression along with a lot of pizza. I think that's me. I just swallow things down. In our like our with our production meeting, you had brought up the TV commercial. Um, uh,
right. Yeah, the
uh,
so I think it's a car commercial where the murderer comes running out. They're chasing the teens, and there's the
yeah,
running car that's ready to roll. And the kids are running out. They're like, "Let's go hide in that shed behind all the chainsaws or whatever,
yeah.
or whatever it is.
And
Why
the
don't we
girl,
just get in the car and leave?"
right, right. So that
um,
that is a perfect summary of what this movie is about.
yeah,
There's things that
yeah,
make zero sense. So, Garrett, I think you have the clip where in the opening scene where you have the let me get my I'll change my screen behind me so you can see. This is one of the first things you see, right? Let me move out of the way. So as Christopher Robin, the adult Christopher Robin, has come back with his fiance to Hundred Acre Woods, and he wants to introduce her to his friends,
right.
Pooh and Eeyore and Piglet and whatnot. And this is what he sees. This here. And that's Rip Eeyore, or Eeyore Rip. Rest in peace. So something has gone wrong here. Eeyore is no longer with among the living. There is a point in time where in reality, now I know you have to suspend reality, but even in the movie where I have to accept this reality, this place looks creepy from the word go.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, Gary, when we were younger, we would remember the what was it, the Devil's House that was over. over in your neck of the woods?
Devil's Church?
Devil's Church.
Yeah,
Wh-
yeah.
So you would roll up on this thing and you're like, I'm not going near that.
Right.
And I never did. So the same thing applies here. If I was going into the woods with you or my bunch of friends or my wife, I'd be like, yeah, no, this isn't. First of all, Teresa wouldn't be involved in this. She didn't even watch the movie.
Yeah.
But the minute we started walking into the woods, she's
Smart.
like,
I
there's
knew
no way I'm going
smart.
into those woods. No way. So that part of it is hard to accept because like you would get out. And then as you have a clip, I think you can see where things go south quickly.
Yeah, and this is an intro.
Spoiler.
I mean, what do you're taught? Yeah, spoiler. It's only like 5 minutes into the movie, which is about the moment I checked out. But I'll roll that real quick and then
See,
we
and
can
I
discuss.
amped up at that. So I was like, oh my God, here we go.
Please, Piglet, stop killing my fiance. I'm gonna kneel over here in the dirt and whine
Yeah,
and
that
cry.
part. Like, as I'm rewatching that, Gary, go ahead and make your point, and I'll back you
I'm
on
just
it.
gonna say, like, he's bringing his fiance back to meet his childhood friends, and out of nowhere, Piglet shows up with a chain and starts choking his fiance.
Right.
He gives a very half-hearted attempt to stop, and then the rest of that scene. By the way, I do want to make this point. There are a lot of scenes in this movie that I felt like drug on like a really bad Family Guy skit. Like, and this was one that rewatching it, I'm like, wow, that really wasn't as long as it felt like watching it the first time. I felt like it was for 5-10 minutes of him just sitting there kneeling, like crying, like, don't kill her, Piglet. What are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
stop. And this was this is the moment that I realized this is not going to be like funny horror, like
Right.
the combo of when you can really get like Killer Clowns is a perfect example that you mentioned that had humor in it. That was a film that recognized what it was and gave you exactly what you expected. This one, I felt like they took the premise and they're like, wouldn't it be cool if Pooh and Piglet ate Eeyore? And then we're like, so mad at society, that we hate humans. We're going to kill them for no reason.
Yes.
And then totally missed the boat that we could work some comedy into this and make it funny. And instead, hey, let's try to make a real horror movie out of it, but let's pull every cliche and make every mistake
yes.
out of any horror movies ever made. I don't know. And that's in scene 1.
Yeah. I mean, we're 5 minutes in and Gary's already like dissecting this thing to a point I did not. But, in rewatching that scene, which I'll say this, by the way, makes me want to go watch the movie again, and I probably will tonight. It is odd that he just sits there like, if he just slammed his body into Eeyore, he would have at least stopped for a second.
Put up a fight. I know he's got a chain, but that's your fiance.
I mean, unless he just wanted her dead, which, I mean, I don't know.
I suppose that's a possibility.
That's a weird subplot twist. It's not even brought up again.
Right.
I will say something interesting. I didn't know this. I didn't catch this in the later in the film, and where I'm trying. I don't want to give anything away, but
we could just start and say spoilers because there's a few later. There's going to be a couple things that I want to mention.
Okay, so
that I think would be considered kind of spoilers.
There's a scene where Christopher Robin is held captive, and he's being whipped. Do you know what he's being whipped with, Gary? I didn't catch it.
I didn't catch it during the time, and I caught it after I didn't catch it till I read it because I had no idea. I thought he was being beat by somebody's hair.
It is like, Eeyore's tail.
Yeah. By the way, I guess that's the only thing that would like create those enormous gashes on his back.
A donkey's tail, an ass's tail. Yeah, I mean, look, I it's hard for me to defend any of the points you bring up, and I will not. All I will say is that I did enjoy this movie, and people, if you're watching and listening, and you're starting to choose up which opinion you like more, mine or Gary's, this is where the road diverges. There is a path less taken, a
Yeah,
path well
yeah.
taken. Mine at this point might be the road less traveled. So if you like stuff like this, it's I mean, but look, it's gratuitous violence. This movie is along the lines of like Saw or Hostel. It's just violent for violence sake. The story doesn't make a damn lick of sense. Um,
It's
I'm okay
violent.
with
It's
that.
violent like Saw, but not clever like Saw.
Right, Gary, I think
It's
would say I insult Saul when I say that.
it's yeah, it's because I felt like that had an interesting Saw had an interesting premise, and it was clever about the way it did things, clever in the way it was shot, clever in dialogue. I mean, there was this movie was devoid of it. I was trying to tell Tara, I was like, I think you could kind of say that, and this is not true over like completely. It's just like a working theory I have that you've got acting and writing and directing.
Yes.
And I think that if you can pull off two of those, you can make a halfway decent movie.
Okay, I'm following you.
Okay, but if you can only pull off one of those, so two of them are missing, it's going to be a bad movie. I felt like this lost on all 3 points.
I was like, which one do you think it
Bad.
won?
Directing was bad, and the writing was atrocious.
Oh gosh, I didn't have a problem with the directing. So yeah, the script.
Which I could, by the way, I will back up directing. I will back up my opinions about directing shortly.
Okay,
We could pick. I got a couple scenes I want to.
Well, so
let
me go with a couple of dialogue things since you brought it up that I just
Okay.
Again, these would be nitpicking. So when I do this from my perspective, I didn't. So in our previous episodes, I could tear apart the movies because they were just horrendous in my opinion.
Mhm.
This one I didn't think was horrendous, so I start nitpicking. I have to find something that I think, well, that wasn't great because to me there wasn't anything horrible. Gary will have a different opinion here. But there were some scenes like there's a scene where someone's head gets smashed. That was kind of wow. I was kind of like, whoa, I knew it was coming, but like that really just took me. It's almost like the scene in The Walking Dead where what's his face gets hit with
It's
the bat.
ridiculous, by the way. Yeah,
It's
super ridiculous.
So there's a scene in the movie. Let me move my note here. I can't quite.
By the way, the scene you're talking about is another. And I didn't bring this one up. Like I do have one particular scene that I want to show, which we'll get to. But
yeah,
this is another one of those scenes where I'm like, how long is this scene?
I will agree.
Was it Piglet in the car? This is the scene you're talking about, right?
Who was in the car? Piglet was holding her down.
I felt like the car was warming up for a good 10 minutes.
It did, like you said, like a Family Guy joke, just a little too long. Again, I can't defend it. I agree with you on that. There is a scene. So about 43 minutes in, there is they're in a house. There's a group of young girls that are trapped in a house, so to speak, or a cabin, and the words "get out" are written in blood on the sliding glass.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a note about that too, by the way.
So this is where Miss Obvious number 1 in the scene says there's someone outside.
Right.
Yes, that we got. Idiot. Miss Obvious number 2, and this one that really I actually stopped and I was like, what the fuck? She says whoever it is probably wrote that. No shit. Because it wasn't one of the three of you, and it wasn't your dead friend out in the parking lot. So thanks for clearing up that plot hole, because I had no idea where that came from.
Dude, that scene I wrote down there. Why would they do that? So let me get this straight.
Hey, Gary,
so
someone, not one of us, wrote "get out" and blood out on the door. Someone probably did that.
Somebody probably did.
At what point would you punch me in the throat and go, shut the fuck up?
That's like when stuff gets lost around the house here, and it's like, Tara, where is this at? She goes, well, it's probably somewhere. Yes, it probably is. It probably is somewhere.
You're right. I'm going to stop searching now.
Dude, okay, so we didn't really get a whole lot into the plot.
I don't know if there is one.
It's kind of hard.
I don't know. Do you find a plot description anywhere that?
We don't even need to get that far. I mean, we could basically say Christopher Robin comes back to introduce his fiance to his childhood friends. Turns out they're like evil now. They've eaten Eeyore because they were abandoned. Now they murder humans for some unknown reason that they
And
don't seem to eat them.
I have a question too now. I
That
just
I
thought
could
of this
tell.
while you were talking like about that. So in the 5 years since, wouldn't there be a lot of missing bodies? Like there wouldn't be signs like, "Hey, don't go up into 100 Acre Woods," because for the past
There are
5
some,
years.
yeah, there are some clips during the beginning where the credits roll
Oh, maybe I missed
that
that.
they're showing news clippings, and it's
Oh
all
yeah,
like
that's
100 acre
right.
woods and like feral beasts or some. I mean, there's a bunch of nonsense that's there,
Yeah, yeah,
which is supposed to serve as like additional, like
yeah.
people know about this threat. I was super confused by the fact that there's a house that's in perfect condition that they're Airbnb, I guess
In
maybe,
this
and
haunted woods.
so other people have gone there apparently, and they've never shut this place down. But and another, there's just man,
But
I could get lost in trying to explain all these stupid
the
little
the
threads.
difference
But
is, Gary, all those people probably were not super hot models in bikinis in hot tubs.
right,
So there's why these young ladies were chosen
I guess so.
to be
Um,
bring your daughter to the slaughter days.
all of that, by the way, to mention that first of all, the whole subplot of the fact that the lady is trying to get away because apparently she had somebody that was after her, like stalking her, and so she's
Yes.
finally getting over the stalker.
I
And
got an
goes,
idea. Let's go to the woods.
yeah. And she assumes that this is the same stalker. But here's the part that got me with the get out scene. Um, so
Get
Pooh and Piglet are now for sport because, again, I have yet to establish that they are doing this for food, which is what I thought the intention was of explaining how desperate they were to eat Eeyore. That
well, maybe
they must be eating the humans for food, which is not does not look like this what they do.
hold on.
Okay,
I just came up with an idea for that.
okay, good. Maybe they'll use it for the sequel.
Maybe what we don't realize is Eeyore was much beefier than we ever thought he was.
Maybe
And
he had
they
a
are
big
like
ass.
a smokehouse. Yeah, back that ass up. They have a smokehouse that they keep smoked Eeyore in a like a like they put like kimchi in the ground and let it
So
ferment. So for
it's like
5
they've been
years.
rationing Eeyore the whole time.
Exactly. That's exactly it, Gary. You know,
That's probably why Rabbit and Owl
Owl.
flew the coop.
Well, maybe they got eaten too, but they're not. Owl just wasn't enough. Maybe, I mean, what did Owl really do? So they just didn't put a
I thought he was
tombstone
the
for him.
smart one. Wait a minute, he was the smart one. That's right. Anyway,
I mean,
okay.
smart.
Let me bring this back around to the Get Out for a moment.
Sorry.
Okay, so the whole premise, I'm thinking, my mistake, by the way. I'm thinking what during this movie that they're eating the humans. So why would you try to tell them to leave? Why would you write in blood
Yeah,
get
that doesn't
out
make any sense either.
if you want to kill them? Like that to me was like that makes no sense.
Gary, you're ruining this great movie for me. Wow, I didn't even think about that.
Now here's another great scene that follows that very shortly
And
after.
pigs eat anything too.
They're discussing. Yeah, true. They're discussing what are we going to do? There's people outside. We need to fight them. We can't just cower in here. And so the one girl runs off to the kitchen because I'm gonna get a knife. The other girl's like, I brought a gun. It's up in my room. So they rush off to get the gun.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you've got two couples that are two sets of girls that are split up. You've got the girl with the gun and the other girl with her. And then you've got the one that ran off to the kitchen to get the knife. And the other girl comes back with a hammer. So they're armed. Pooh. Now they're overlooking. The girl with the gun is overlooking.
I know where you're going. Yes.
It's overlooking the steps here, looking out
like
over.
A loft.
Yeah. And Pooh is right there. And all she has to do is point and shoot.
Yep.
Done.
Yeah. I said it to myself. I was like, just shoot him now. Shoot him now.
Shoot him.
And he did.
But
she
no,
did.
No, not going to take that shot. Instead, going to allow for a lot more mayhem. to ensue.
Yeah.
Which does lead me to a scene.
Oh, here we go. We have a clip.
If it's okay, I'd like to play a clip.
Yeah.
This scene, it takes place with when two of the girls go into a pool. There's like an indoor pool in this place. It looks like a lap pool or something because it's a real long,
right,
skinny pool. And well, let me just play this brief part, which to me, by the way, this is a 52-second clip. It felt like 10 minutes. Oh no! Oh no, he's coming for me! Oh, if I could just get to the other side of the pool, I could escape. Oh yeah.
So what's the bad side of that?
I'm going to escape in this pool. This is
Which is first of all a great idea.
Oh yeah, because he didn't have to start at that end. He could have just gone to the middle and jumped in. No, I'm going to start at the far end and slowly
work my way towards you.
Now, if I could just show you a quick 27-second clip to follow that up, this is what I thought of when
this should sum it up.
Hang on, I'm going to floor it. Watch out! Move! Move! Move!
Careful, Austin. Watch out!
Watch out!
Watch out!
Let's go. Come on.
27 seconds, infinitely more fun than Winnie the Pooh.
That is true. I like that one.
That's what it reminded me of, dude. Seriously, it's like, here he comes. No,
absolutely. I cannot defend this. I will always say I'm a fan of this guy so far of his one film. I look forward to his next films, but I cannot defend them. So this is like, I
feel Andy, I feel like you're backpedaling here right now. You're like, I'm just gonna stay in my corner and just look, I liked it. I
can't. This is like me trying to defend my love of those Halloween wax lips. When everybody has them, like, these are horrible, but I love them, and I can't explain it. So it's like, I accept you're right. They are horrible. I love them. Go ahead, Gary. What else you got?
Keep
on crapping.
I'm just going to give a rundown of my notes real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll do this quickly because I know that we're kind of running a little bit long here.
Yeah.
Why didn't Christopher Robin fight back to save his fiance? Already covered that.
Hated her.
They were starving so bad they killed Eeyore, but they kill humans for sport, whatever. There's a gas station scene that I was like, why? Why the gas station scene?
Okay, stop right there.
Okay.
First of all, I guess she stopped. She needed gas, she says.
Right.
This place is. This looked like something straight out of a Stephen King film. This place is deserted. It is run down. Why even go in? Like, you can see it's not.
It's not
operating.
It's not what. Yeah, it's not like everything. Like the pumps are cracked.
Yeah,
and she has like the door is ajar to get into this garage. It's overgrown. She has to push the door in to physically get into the place.
I mean, I think it was just to establish that there's these other guys that are going to show up later in the film. But
maybe
even they weren't needed.
Well, that's the problem with the movie is I feel like
didn't help.
There was a lot of things that they were like, I saw this in a horror film once. Yes. We should put this in here.
Yeah,
and it felt like there was nothing earned. There was no. There was nothing. It was horrible. Hold on, let me look at my notes again.
Keep going, Gary.
Why the gas station scene? Why the shower head rigged to spew blood? What? Why? There's a shower head that they put blood into it so it squirts blood over Christopher Robin. Why? Okay, just you don't have to answer that. I actually had wrote why the lashes of hair on Christopher Robin's back, leaving those huge gashes. But
Yeah.
now we know it's Eeyore's tail, so obviously that would leave huge lashes.
Hair of the dog or pig or whatever it was. Hair of the
Ass.
ass.
I put seems like a super extended SNL horror spoof, which I went and Googled this because I was like, I am sure they did a spoof of something like this. Like I was almost positive. I couldn't
Yeah.
find it. The movie's directing's terrible. The script is atrocious. The cliches are shoehorned in. The hot tub girl went unconscious super fast.
Which is what we all want.
Which
at the
was
end of the day.
I'm not going to argue that part. I'm only going to say that it was unrealistic. The death scenes are so ridiculous. Why would they write "Get Out" on the windows? Why not shoot Pooh when he didn't see you? There's a continuity error. So there's a good Lord, there's probably a ton of them. It's just the one that was super obvious was when they go into the pool scene and she's carrying the gun as she walks in, and the next scene she's there with nothing in her hands.
Yeah.
And they're not in like outfits where she could put a gun, and then the next scene she's got the gun again, and I was like, that was just like, that's a pinprick on the the huge freaking I can't even talk intelligently.
So frustrated
because of this movie. Character development, none. Why did the drop of drool alert Pooh? There's a girl unconscious and a little drop of like drool comes out of her mouth, and as soon as it hits the wood, Pooh's like, what was that? Oops, my screen. Okay, last let's see, character development, none. Why does the trapped girl know who they are? Because the intro said that they wouldn't speak, yet the girl that I can't understand her, by the way,
right,
the one that was roughed up really bad. Where did she come from? Why? Why did Pooh look like he grew to an enormous size during that one fight? Do you remember that scene?
Hormones, Gary.
The 4 guys that's in the truck that are going to take him on. And when he turns around to the guy that hit him from behind, it's like he gets
Hulkamania gone wild.
And like the guy in front of us really. And then the last note was the end ? WTF. And then my note was, why did I bother? That's it. That's all my notes.
Yeah. So I have a note on the ending was just abrupt.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, wait a minute. This just ended.
Yeah.
And it ends with, again, they don't speak except for there's a line he says there. I don't know. I can't defend what you're saying. I truly can't. But this movie for me hit. I loved it. I recommend it.
It only makes me sad because I know that because of people like you, there's another movie this guy's gonna make.
There is. Listen,
sad.
Listen. Let me write. I got my note here. Hold on a second. So he has got.
There's truly something for everybody out there.
This guy. So I'm a fan. I will follow his career. In the works, he has, keep these on your radar, Bambi: The Reckoning, because he's got the rights for that are out there. They're for anybody. We could make a Bambi film. And Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmares. Those are already...
And a Pooh sequel, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, clearly until Pooh... So this is going to be like, and he said this in the interview I saw, I think this is going to be like Halloween, where you can't kill Pooh because there's a scene where you think Pooh is possibly dead. And like Mike Myers, he is not. So I think, and he says this in a movie that he took a lot from Halloween Kills. I think it was Kills.
Parts.
Well, that movie had some bad parts too. we have to listen. I love the Halloween franchise. That movie was, So anyway, I have nothing else to add. I love this movie. I enjoyed it. Gary, do you want to do our rankings and our?
Yeah,
we'll call this one, and we're 30.
I feel like mine won't be a surprise. So if you want, I can go ahead and start with mine.
Go for it.
As always, I rate my movie with TPs. Of course, the more TPs you earn,
right,
the worse the movie. So you want to score less
Yeah,
For it
we're
to
the
be
opposite of most rankings.
right.
You don't want to see our rankings.
You don't want this ranking. And well, I'll just without further ado, I'll just go ahead and put mine on the screen.
Oh,
I
5.
felt like it earned every roll of TP.
5
And
rolls.
you know what? 2-ply. If I
Damn,
could just
Gary,
add, I
that's
don't know if
almost-
that makes it 10, but
that
that's
makes it
2-ply.
10. Oh, you're so harsh.
Well, you know, for me,
That's unfair. I will say that is unfair in defense of Reese Frake Waterfield.
I think you said that wrong. It's freak.
Might have been in your eyes. It's Freak. Gary, as I think I've made it clear, I did enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
I think I initially told you I wanted to give it 0 poo
Right.
emojis,
Right.
but for the sense and for this podcast alone, I will give it a half a poo.
There you go.
Ah,
The
That's
half a poo.
fucking
With a full on poo in the background.
that's perfect.
You know, he's a happy poo back there.
He's like, look, Andy, thanks, buddy.
Thanks for the half a poo.
Thanks. Thanks for giving my movie I've grown up a little. I've turned to the dark side. So there it is, folks. Again, if you expect nothing, this film will deliver.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
That's, you know what? That's true though of any movie. I think if you go in, if you
Look,
go
it's
up,
probably somewhere.
yeah, at least somebody enjoyed this movie.
Yeah,
So-
I did. I look. I'm going to reach out and try to get an interview with him, so you can ask him your questions.
Oh Lord,
So maybe
I
he can
wouldn't-
defend the plot
that would
holes.
be
and then
that would be interesting.
I
That
will
would be
definitely reach out. We'll do it. Maybe we'll do our sequel. Will be Pooh's Revenge, Taco Bell.
He will face the music. I'll take better notes.
I'm sure
I
he
have
will,
lots. I have
I'm
lots.
sure he will laugh along with every plot hole you throw at him. He seems
laughing
like
all the way to the
genuinely-
bank, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So, I hands applaud. I enjoy this movie. If you like cheap horror films, this is for you. Gary, as Gary would say, if you enjoy plot, this movie is not for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Afraid so.
So I give it a thumbs up. Actually, opposite of our
The
logo,
little corner down there. Yeah.
I'm gonna raise mine up. I recommend this film. That's Andy's recommendation. The Motley Drew himself.
There you
Gary,
go.
any closing thoughts on this classic, soon to be classic?
Soon to be cult classic. I'm sure. I don't think it's going to be. I don't see it up there for any Academy Awards anytime soon.
Definitely the Razzies, though. Maybe a
well,
KG in its future.
You know what? We do have to discuss the Cages sometime soon.
We will.
And we definitely have to pull out a Cage film. No, I think that's it, my
All right.
friend. I think we should probably go ahead and wrap this up. Say thank you for joining us once again on another episode of Flick Flops. We hope you'll join us next time where we take on who knows what garbage we're going to take on next. If Andy picks it, it'll be great.
Oh, yeah. Coming up next, maybe a Bosworth movie.
Oh my.